Hello. May I please invite all of you to join me on a short journey, one that you can take from the comfort and safety of exactly where you are. Let us please begin by thinking of the many wonderful people we met today. Try to think of the characteristics, the messages you would particularly associate with each and every one of them. And also think how you, in turn, would like to be remembered by those around you at the same time. And even as we are doing so, imagine if the lights in this hall begin to dim till it reaches a point of complete darkness. A spotlight is switched on, and its dazzling beam begins to play through the audience till it comes to rest, pointing directly at you. A shadow emerges from the darkness to say, hello, we are all waiting. We are all waiting to hear your exciting idea of how you can change this world, how you can make it a better place. The stage is yours. Please. What thoughts would have crossed your mind? Considering the sheer brilliance of the audience today, I would not be surprised if quite a few of you thought, whew, that was easy. I'll just talk about my day job because I do what I do so well and it brings so much benefit and entertainment to people. I would not have to change anything. Well done, you. But there may be others who feel degrees of a disjoint between what we do or what we are forced to do in order to make a living and what we would love to do if only we are given the opportunity to do so. I believe that we are all individuals. We are unique. We are unique because we are born with unique skills. We are born and placed in unique circumstances where if those skills are utilized maximally, we can bring about change that others cannot even begin to think about. And yet, sadly, we are also born into a world that is hell-bent on amputating away those special skills, on grinding our individuality into dust, recasting us in molds, and stamping us with labels, burdened with expectations that we were never naturally designed to fulfill. Think of it. Literally, within years of birth, we are all carried to that start line, shown a distant finish line, and told, run, when we can barely walk. We crawl, we fall, we manage to reach that end line, only to be told, not bad, you need to get this, this, and this right. And if you do, you may stand a better chance in the next race. Another race, yes, of course, it's about to start. Don't miss out on life. Go, run. And so we join. We join this never-ending series of races that we call life, each one steeper and more challenging than the one before. And we soon come to realize that we don't even have the luxury of calling for a pause. For to do so, we not risk just falling by the wayside, but really tumbling down a deep precipice from where there is no escape. So we run. We run to survive. And as we do so, we begin to accumulate badges representing each stage successfully completed and bandages to conceal those wounds that we invariably acquire in the process. And together, these layers and layers upon bandages and badges begin to conceal us till we finally lose sight of ourselves. We lose our values, our inner skills, our self-worth, and with that, the ability to appreciate the beauty of those around us. We become so fixated by that mirage of a finish that we lose sight of everything and everyone that is important at that particular moment in time. That was the story of my life. I was born in the beautiful country of Sri Lanka to a wonderful set of parents who showered us with love and generosity. We really didn't have much, but yet they made us feel that we did not need anything more. We were encouraged to dream and pursue those dreams, securing the knowledge that our parents would support us come what may. I was desperate to show my parents that I loved them, and I found the perfect way to do so. See, my father was an optician, glass maker, and my mother was a housewife. And they worshipped these demigods called eye surgeons. So I decided to be one. It proved to be quite a difficult task because I was not a naturally gifted child. I struggled academically, so much so that my parents had to pay for my medical education, when the more gifted kids amongst us got that given free. And yet, the day did finally dawn when I heard my father say, "Puta, son, Dr. Seaman would like to meet you, to introduce you to his team." That was the call I had been waiting for a lifetime. It meant that in spite of all the obstacles, and through the most difficult, grueling competitive process, I still managed to secure that one place that was available that year to train under the greatest eye surgeon, the greatest surgeon of any sort that I had ever known, the late Dr. Christopher Reginald Seaman. I remember going with my dad to his brand new hospital, being shown around from floor to floor till we reached the topmost floor of all, with the doors to the most hallowed of chambers, the eye theaters themselves. Now, my dad and I had spent many a long evening speculating on what a bespoke eye theater would look like. And this was our opportunity to see one as guests of one of the most celebrated exponents of that noble art. Dr. Seaman said we normally strip to our underwear and put on layers and layers of clothing in order to ensure we do not carry even a speck of dust, because that could potentially blind someone. But today, we have finished the day's theater list, and we are just about to start the process of preparing it for tomorrow. So all you have to do is remove your shoes. We'll give you some boots, some overalls, caps and masks, and in we go. And so I did, was introduced to some amazing people, said my hellos, thank yous, see you soon, goodbyes, and set off on the journey home. I was on cloud 9. It was 5-10 minutes into that journey that it struck me, that the man who has inspired me, the man who has sustained me and carried me to those very doorstep of those theaters did not join me on that final journey through them. And I asked why. My dad was strangely evasive. I had to force an answer from him. And he said, "I didn't want to insult you." And I laughed at him. How can you, I was introduced to everyone as your son. How can you insult me even if you try? And my dad held my hand and said, "Please don't get angry. If I removed my shoes, my socks had holes in them." It took me years. It took me years to recognize the significance of that moment, to recognize the magnitude of the sacrifice made by my parents so that I could live my dream, and to recognize the depths of heartlessness that I had fallen to be oblivious to the pain I was causing them. What had started as a journey to please my parents had morphed into an overriding ambition for which I was willing to sacrifice anything. That was not me. I had lost sight of myself. Those revelations, when they came one after the other, were excruciatingly painful, humiliating. It made me realize that I was not even the happy chappy I pretended to be, because my true passion did not lie in operating people. It was with working for them, working with them. And so when the opportunity came a few years later, I gave up clinical practice and became a teacher, a job I hold to this day. Yes, even now, my students and I do continue to study for those exams. The race continues. But thankfully, we are no longer held prisoners by it. For we do find the time to break free and peel away those bandages and look within us to find what really burns within us and nurture those gifts to its fulfillment. It was such a liberating process that the others around us noticed the change it inspired and felt inspired to go through that process of self-discovery themselves. It was like a muted explosion, the ripples of which permeated through the university, through the community, through family, friends, and ultimately crossed mighty oceans. It was an explosion of goodness, like random candles bursting into life in this sea of darkness. Gautama Buddha, that great philosopher, said that the luminance of a candle is not diminished by the act of sharing its light. Thousands of candles may be lit by a single light, but the life of that single light shall not fade. And that was the truth. These little individuals, inspired individuals, began to share their lights with those around them, inspiring others to take it on. So little puddles merged into ponds of light, even small lakes, each representing a brilliant individual or a community that was living their life to the fullest, driven by the conviction that no one else could even think of doing what they were doing, because what they were doing was designed to be done. They were writing the legacies of their self-discovery. That process was so illuminating that we felt free. We felt the need to use our gifts for the benefit of others. So the projects were born, each unique, each bearing the stamp of its instigator. Some worked with individuals completely transforming their lives. Others worked with families, bringing hope, shelter. Others worked with entire communities, torn apart by war, to bring them together to dream of a better future. Each carried its own promise. We created a network called Mega Reach to ensure that no candle would be too small or too isolated to take part in this wonderful sharing of the light. Very soon, like-minded individuals and organizations begin to collaborate with us, taking the light to places which we could never have reached on our own. Today, Mega Reach works across the full spectrum of humanity, starting with primary school children, taking those first metaphorical races of their life, all the way through to seasoned veterans who have finally found the way to step off the racetrack. In less than 3 years of our inception, Mega Reach was able to reach the people, touch lives in people living in all 5 continents of the world. And we did so on an absolutely zero budget. Come to think of it, these brilliant lights that burn with the intensity of hundreds of candles are absolutely nothing, devoid of a continuous supply of electricity. And yet, even if all the electricity on earth were channeled to them, they simply do not have the capacity to inspire one more light to burst into life. But a single, lowly, underrated candle not only can burn with its own luminosity without any need for external energy, it has that absolute wonderful property of being able to propagate the light. That is the magic of self-discovery. Once unleashed, it simply cannot be contained. For all our enthusiasm, our collective efforts amounted to but a drop in the ocean, because literally there are billions upon billions of candles waiting to be lit. We just heard 6.7 billion candles. They are waiting for that inspiration. And I ask you today humbly, would you be willing to be that inspiration? Would you like to be remembered as a person who set off that explosion of goodness? Everything that is required to do so is already packaged within you. And no matter where in life you are, you have an insightful understanding of the local circumstances, which should make you the most effective changer. That you could create change that nobody else could dream about. Nelson Mandela said, the goodness within us is like a flame that may be hidden but never extinguished. That flame that you were born with is already there. Would you be willing to discover it? Ask yourself, what would the legacy of my own self-discovery be? The world is waiting for you to discover yourself. Remember where we paused, a dark hall, a brilliant light, and a microphone. Now, I can't speak for you, but if it were I would say, hello, people call me PG. I have this burning passion to work with people, to find their inner gifts and nurturing them to their full potential. I get great joy. It gives me a purpose in life. It gives me a sense of fulfillment that is priceless, that no amount of money could buy. That was the legacy my parents left me. You too can join that process. You too are packed with those wonderful gifts. You too have the capacity to use them. And if you do, use your talents fully, and in the process, inspire one more person to go through that process of self-discovery. Then, together, we may actually change this world. We may change this world by changing the world we can first touch and see. We could conquer that sea of darkness with brilliance of billions of candles, each burning in glory, burning in itself, burning from the beauty within. And that is a world that would be the legacy of our self-discovery. That could be the world we could leave to the next generation. Just imagine, please imagine, what a beautiful world that would be. Thank you.